morning. I'd like to call this commission meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please silence all your cell phones. Take a moment of silent prayer. Thank you. I'll begin this morning's roll call with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Culbertson's here. Commissioner Doug Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Vicki Codd.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Public comment. I have Brian Lee signed up for public comment. Come on up and the podium. Please state your name and address for the record. And you got 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. As stated, my name is Brian Lee, address 17309 Dakota Drive, Leavenworth. I'm a local farmer and area agronomist for a company called Modern Ag Services, and I'd like to address the lack of noxious weed control in this county, particularly Johnson grass. I've got a few things I'd like to hit on here this morning, the first being county and state road right-of-ways, state road right-of-ways in particular. It's my understanding that the Leavenworth County Noxious Weed Department has a contract with the state to control noxious weeds on the state road right-of-ways. Is that correct? I'm just wondering why it hasn't been done. I haven't seen anything sprayed, anything mowed, not that mowing does any good, but I haven't seen a thing sprayed. If you drive down 92 Highway, it's to the point where Johnson grass hedge will hit your mirrors on your pickup if you drive down the road. There's no fescue, no brome grass left in the road ditches. It's solid Johnson grass in places. And so I guess my question on this point is, where's that money gone if it's not been used to control noxious weeds in the road right-of-ways? Does anybody know the answer to that?
It's public comment. We can't respond.
Fair enough.
But we'll get back with you later afterward.
Next point, private land. There's noxious weeds everywhere, Johnson grass everywhere on private land. I've talked to the weed supervisor a number of times about this. His comment to me was that in order to send a notice to a private landowner, the citizen of the county has to file a complaint with the noxious weed department with the owner's name, address, type of weed, and area of infestation. After reviewing the Kansas noxious weed law, I read that, quote, when a county weed supervisor has knowledge that any land in the supervisor's county is infested in any current year with any noxious weed, the supervisor shall give notice by publication, and it goes on and on. It's basically, in layman's terms, the supervisor shall give notice to the landowner. Doesn't say anything about needing a citizen of the county to report said landowner. I also spoke on Monday with Scott Marsh, noxious and invasive weed specialist with the Kansas Department of Agriculture. He confirmed, quote, Leavenworth County can send a notice to the landowner without first having had it reported to them by someone else, end quote. I'm sure sending a notice to private landowners about their noxious weeds is not a glamorous part of the weed supervisor's job. In fact, it's probably kind of a dirty part of the job, but it is part of the job. And I don't think the weed supervisor should be dragging citizens of the county into a matter that really only pertains to the noxious weed department and the landowner that has noxious weeds on their property. Last thing I'd like to hit on is data reporting. According to the Kansas noxious weed law, the county weed supervisor is supposed to give a report to the Board of Commissioners and the Kansas Department of Agriculture by June 1st, detailing the information about noxious weeds in the county. I was able to locate the 2022 noxious weed data survey. 2023 and 24s I could not locate. Have any of you seen, I know you've all seen it, you signed off on it. I have it here. In our neighboring counties, Jefferson County to the west, they reported 2,500 acres of Johnson grass infested area. Johnson County to our south is 7,600 acres of infested area. Leavenworth County is 232 acres. That sounds like it's something to be proud of if it were accurate. I can walk within a half-mile radius of my house and find 232 infested acres with Johnson grass. It's not accurate. And I don't know how you could have signed off on it if you drive around this county and look around the roadsides of private property. According to LeavenworthCounty.gov, the proposed 2024 budget for the noxious weed department is $730,000 roughly. That's an additional $220,000 compared to 2 years ago. I can't ask, can you confirm this? I guess my question to you that you can answer later is where's all that money going, because I can't see it going to any sort of noxious weed control. Commissioners, we got a great county. Our roads are fantastic. My daughter and I had some health issues last year. We had to call 911 twice. I think the ambulance was there within 6 minutes. The timeliness and professionalism of them was great. I'm not opposed to large budgets. I think they're very important. But if we have a large budget for something like this, I do expect to see some results.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any other people signed up for public comment. Anybody in the room have public comment? If not, we'll move on to administrative business. Mr. Lothar, you have anything this morning for administrative business? Anybody else?
I was like Mr. Lawford to address what we currently do for weed control in the county and the mowing schedule that we have.
Well, Commissioners, we try to mow the right of way at least twice a year. They start on one end of the county, work their way towards the other end of the county. Obviously, we have a lot of miles of roadway. As far as the noxious weed goes, they do spray our right of way. I think there's a misconception that we get money from the state to spray the right of way. First, we have to spray their right of way, then we have to submit for reimbursement. So, in years that we would have extra staff or time, which hasn't happened in the last 2 to 3 years, I think we can go out and spray the right of way, but that's after we do all of our primary functions. So, state right of way is not one of our primary functions.
And also, the state takes care of their own mowing. So
yes, we don't
part of control is mechanical control. So if they would mow it, keep it mowed before it went to seed too.
Yeah, and that's definitely not something that we can do.
And I think state, they do a good job of mowing on the 4 lanes and the medians and stuff like that. On the 24 highway, I'm not sure how they do on just a 2-lane state road.
One of the other responsibilities of the noxious weed department, as you all have heard throughout the years, they sell chemical at a reduced rate to homeowners and landowners. If they want to come in and buy chemical from the county, we're required to bid that out annually and then subsidize it for homeowners and property owners. So if they would like to come in and buy it. So that's another reason why you've seen that budget go up, is the cost of chemicals has tripled and quadrupled in some cases.
And there was some difficulty in getting it in some years.
Yeah, there's some years couldn't even
We had trouble getting
get the
chemical.
quantity that we asked for.
So I'm putting together a list for the budget hearing that we're going to have here in the next week or
This
two.
is an unfunded mandate.
And weed control is one of the state unfunded mandates, and over the years, budget cuts that we've had to cut. So you have people hollering that we got to cut the budget and we need to cut out the unnecessary things that we're doing with taxpayer money. Weed control is one of them. So as soon as we cut it, then you have people complaining. So we have to always juggle what can we cut that people won't complain about. So, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You're either going to spend money on weed control or
we sell is subsidized
Yep.
25%.
Yep.
Taxpayers got to subsidize.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back all the way to when we had the prison work crews that were taking care of the brush crews. I mean, things have changed over the years and directly related to budget cuts.
Yep.
So that's the short answer. But we couldn't tell him. I mean, we'll contact him later and talk to him and go over those things with him. I'll do it if somebody else doesn't want to. But
To your area.
it's all budget cuts. So that's exactly what it boils down to. Do you have anything else, Mike? You wanted to?
No.
Okay.
I just thought that should be addressed.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything.
Okay. One thing I wanted to bring up is I think you guys are all getting the same letters I'm getting about the tax 2 mil proposed increase. So since we don't want to violate the COMA regulations, if you guys want to. I was putting together a letter to answer that, because I don't like not answering people, because then it looks like we don't care, but they don't realize that we'd be violating COMA if we all did answer them.
If we all answer.
Exactly. So I was going to put together a reply letter and then read it to you guys next week, and if you guys are okay with it, then I'll reply to all those emails with that.
Yeah, I like the idea of replying back.
Okay. So I'll
I've
get that
sent
together.
several responses asking them to call me.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll run that by you guys next Wednesday. Then I should have it
Okay,
ready.
good.
Okay.
That's still a serial meeting if 3 of us answer.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
if they know that, I mean, if they,
Right.
Right.
it can be.
It
Right.
can be a
It
serial
can be.
meeting, Mike.
Yeah.
As long as they don't say I already spoke with.
If they don't say,
Yeah.
we don't involve other
I heard
commissioners.
from.
Because I'm like Mike, I don't like
This is
just
what
not
this commissioner
answering
told me.
them, but they don't realize that we'd be violating COMA if we did.
Let's hope they're doing the same thing for the school districts. All the
Yeah.
school boards.
In townships. Okay.
And I agree with what you're saying, and when we get into the budget, I think we'll have more discussion on that.
Okay. Any other administrative business?
Not from me.
We'll go on to.
Oh, I did have one.
Yes, sir.
I distributed this. This is a policy and a proposed revision of the same policy put on the agenda for next week for discussion.
Okay.
All right.
Consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to voting, starting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Consent agenda passes. Formal board actions. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as Board of County Canvassers. Morning, Janet.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of County Canvassers.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting. Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 We are now the Board of Canvassers.
Okay, we're here to canvass the election from August 6th, 2024, and it was a primary election. We had 10,470 people vote, which was a little over 19%. Out of interest on that percent, I did go back to some previous primaries. Primaries only in the presidential year elections. In 2020, our primary was 52% versus 19% this year. In 2016, it was 28%, and in 2012, it was 33%. And so we saw, only half of even one of our smallest
That's a shame.
primary elections. So.
And that's a big decline.
Yes, it is.
That's
Well, I think I'd said this before, but I can mention it again. Statewide, we were expected to have the highest primary turnout because of the number of races that Leavenworth County had, but that did not turn out to be true. It was a very small turnout throughout the entire state. I know that Leavenworth County was expected to have a higher turnout.
So you said 2020 was 52% when the pandemic was going on?
We did.
That's unbelievable.
This is what's so
Tells
crazy.
you something.
Look at what we did in 2020. We mailed ballots out. Everybody received a request in the mail because of.
Social
We didn't want a
distancing.
lot of people coming into the polling place. So that right there kind of shows a difference that mailing a ballot to someone has versus coming into the courthouse or the polling place.
I think the school districts figured that out a long
We mailed
time
an
ago.
application to every single registered voter in the county in 2020.
Well, the one before that was still high, though, higher than this.
Right.
Yes, it was still higher than that. But I thought the same thing, that Doug said. How in the world did we get that high a percentage of turnout?
And everybody was scared to go out.
Mm-mm.
It had to do with the mail.
Our municipal election was, a year ago, was similar turnout, correct?
Oh, it was even lower.
It was lower. So what was it
But
about?
It was, I hate to even say it, but it was 8 or 9%.
Oh,
It did not
geez.
reach the 10% mark when we were looking at municipal and school elections.
When you think about how consequential it is for your taxes, and it's just unbelievable.
I agree, Mike.
Maybe only a handful of people care about their taxes.
Evidently.
Until they get it in the mail.
Yeah. For a minute.
We had,
That's sad. That's really sad.
We have 56 provisionals that we are going to count today. Altogether, we had 110 provisionals, 56 of which I would deem qualified. The reason the 54, in my opinion, are not qualified is many of our voters wanted to vote a different party than the way they were registered. And so 31 of the 54, the voter changed parties. And on election day, if you are registered with one party and you want to change to another party, that disqualifies that vote. And so that was a lot of it. The other ones were pretty well, people just weren't registered. They weren't registered in time to vote this election. What is important, though, even when you look at the 54 that we deem not qualified, are these folks are now registered, and they will be able to vote in the November election. We do expect the November election to, of course, far exceed the 19%. You go back and look at presidential elections, you're looking at 75, 76, even 78%. So we will have a much higher turnout if the process is the same as in past presidential elections. None of our races, I don't believe, will be affected by the provisional ballots. It's kind of odd when I look at the turnout percentages. Actually, Kickapoo Township had the highest percentage this time at 33%. Linwood was right in there also. But a lot of our precincts had a lot lower than even the 19%. Does anyone have any questions? I might mention one other thing. Something that I hear in the office quite a bit are, what kind of ballots do you count after Election Day? Because the law that folks can turn their ballot in on Election Day at a polling place, or we, up until Friday, can count the ballots that come in that are postmarked Election Day or prior. So that number this year was 125. We counted after Election Day, that were qualified to be able to count. We, of course, had out of the 100%, out of the 10,000 that voted, we had 24% of the people that voted were of the Democratic Party, and 76% were of the Republican Party. That just shows that the Republican ballot had many more contested races on it than the Democratic Anybody have any questions concerning any one of the precincts throughout the county?
I don't. No.
Didn't look like it.
So before you certify the election, I will run down. I don't count the provisionals until I explain the process to the board.
Right.
So for that reason, I wait in case you have any questions on any of the provisionals. The reason that they were provisional.
Okay.
Okay.
Questions?
Nope.
All right. It will take me just a few minutes. When I come back up, I will have some new totals for you, because it will include the 56 provisionals. And at that time, you can certify the election.
Okay.
Is that okay, you guys?
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. All entertainment.
I also mentioned, and I apologize for taking more time, we had our audit on Friday. Jeff picked the 3 precincts that we audited, and then Wednesday afternoon I did receive notification from the Secretary of State's office that we were to audit the United States rep race, the 5th Senate District, and the Register of Deeds. So, those were just random selections. The audit was, as it has been in the past, exactly the count that the machines had. And I know that the commissioners may hear from the public out there about the validity of our machines, but I do want, I think this proves that the way the voter voted is going to be the same way that it's in county. It was exactly.
Yeah.
I turned that over to the Secretary of State's office. They review it, and by Friday afternoon, I already had notice from them to proceed with the canvass today.
How many years have you audited?
We have audited, this is probably the 5th year, Mike. The 5th year.
So, and every time you've audited, and an audit is taking the marked ballots from the precinct and hand counting them, comparing them to the machine's result.
And they're random by the selection.
Entirely random.
Yeah.
And you have never had a discrepancy where the machine count did not match the hand count.
That's something we said.
And it's open to the public to observe.
Yeah.
And I've said it forever that if the entire country did the voting procedures like Leavenworth County, we wouldn't have any issues. But I found out there's a lot of counties and states that don't do it like we do it.
Well, I always do like to take the opportunity to say I appreciate that, but also to ensure the public out there, the voters out there, that the entire process is open to the public, and it's fair. We don't care what anybody's party is. It's meant to show high integrity for Leavenworth County. All right. If you give me just a few minutes, I'll be back.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn as the Board of County Canvassers and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. We are now back as county commissioners. Moving on to consider a motion to approve the notice of hearing to exceed revenue neutral rate and budget hearing set for August 28, 2024 at 9 a.m.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the notice of hearing to exceed revenue neutral rate and budget hearing set for August 28, 2024 at 9 a.m.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Next, consider a motion to approve the notice of hearing to exceed revenue neutral rate and budget hearing for the special other funds set for August 28, 2024 at 9 a.m.
Mr. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the notice of hearing to exceed revenue neutral rate and budget hearing for the special other fund set for August 28th, 2024 at 9 a.m.
Second.
Motion and second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Next, consider a motion to approve fiscal year 2024 Adult Comprehensive Plan Budget Amendment and fiscal year 2024 Juvenile Crime Community Prevention Budget Amendment.
Good morning.
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 I'm Shayla Herrera with Leavenworth County Community Corrections on behalf of Jamie Van Houten. There are 3 items we're requesting for approval. The end-of-year outcomes for the adult and juvenile. At the close of each year, our end-of-year outcome reports are due by October 1st. The data provided in the attached outcome report that you guys received back on July 10th, we're just asking for that to be approved.
Shayla, this one's the budget one.
Oh, I'm sorry. You gave them to me in wrong order.
That's okay.
For the fiscal year 24, got it. Our fiscal year 24 grants are all being closed out, and we're required to obtain approval from the advisory boards and our county commissioners. Our advisory boards have already approved, but we're just making budget amendments over the amount of $5,000 before the board. We were under budget, but we had to shift some funding around to cover unexpected expenses. If we don't move the money around, we have to send it back to the state, so we would rather spend it where we need it.
Use it or lose it.
Do you have any questions about
Basically.
that?
Explanatory.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 2024 Adult Comprehensive Plan Budget Amendment of 2024 Juvenile Crime Community Prevention Budget Amendment.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go on to the vote, beginning with Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
I'm sorry, I was writing and not paying attention. Did that include both the juvenile and the adult?
Yes.
Yeah. Next, consider a motion to approve fiscal year, well, let's see.
What she explained to us before.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the one I already read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Back on that one.
Make a motion to approve fiscal year 2024 Community Corrections Year-End Outcome Reports for fiscal year 2024 Adult Camp Plan and fiscal year 2024 Juvenile Comp Plan.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next, consider a motion to approve application for fiscal year 2025 Community Programs Juvenile Justice Involved Youth Program Grant.
As the board is aware, we did not receive the competitive juvenile crime prevention grant for the fiscal year 25,
Yep.
but there was a chance for a different funding opportunity, and so we have applied for that. If awarded that, we can sustain our Youth Justice Resource Center. That grant is for 2 years and up to $500,000. It would allow us to expand our resources to include funding for youth that are also experiencing behavioral health crisis. We can help them and their family members with clinical screenings and other mental health services within our department or partners with the Guidance Center. So they can receive those services in a timely manner. So we're just asking for approval of that grant application.
I'd say we better hurry and get this
Yeah.
one passed so she can get to applying for this.
Can't say no to free
Mr.
money.
Chairman, I move that we approve the application for the 2025 Community Programs Juvenile Justice Involved with Youth Programs Grant.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shayla.
And I'll go ahead and add that yesterday, Jamie was selected as the chair of the Guidance Center Advisory Board for Mental Health.
Great.
I didn't hear that.
I think that was
Perfect person
kind of
for it.
talks to
Yeah.
the work that she's been doing and the collaboration that she's been doing with the Guidance Center.
It shows. Yeah.
She'll be chairing that board.
Great.
Let's hope we can get this grant.
Tell her we said thank you.
Yeah, we need that around.
We lucked out. We really lucked out getting her.
We got a few, I think, we left out. Go ahead.
Yep, she's not the only one. That's all I have for formal board actions. Move on to presentations and discussion items. Is there anything on the budget discussions we wanted to bring up this week in particular?
I have a couple things.
Yes, sir.
Just been looking at the budget and just putting some things out there for our consideration and for the public's knowledge. We have a 2% county employee raise built into the budget. Each percentage is $213,000, so that's $232,000 or approximately that, or over 400,000. Also, we have a increase in the across the street at the wages for attorneys, and all of these things may well be necessary, but I think it's good when your roof is falling in and you have an emergency budget year to put all these things on the table for the realization of how much it costs and potentially savings. 140,000 increase requested. Outside agencies, I just took an estimate, and I don't know if I wrote the number down exactly right, but if we did half, cut it in half, you're saving about $240,000. 220.
440 is the total.
Yeah, so 220. So if you cut that in half, so I think we need to at least put on the table the fact that we put on the table a pretty good increase in the levy. We also need to put on the table for the consideration of the public and for our consideration is if we were making spending reductions, how much that would be. And between all those three items, you're about up at $750,000. So there may be other places where cuts could be made or adjustments, but these are some items I think we should at least put on the table for the public to understand how serious the budget situation is this year. This is not a normal year. I am getting these emails and people are saying there's not an emergency this year. Yes, there is an emergency this year. We have a building that's falling apart that's possibly $4 to $5 million.
As a result of what?
We're deferred maintenance over the last 20 years.
Over the years,
Yep.
many years.
Well,
so we need to really, all of this needs to be talked about.
Well, we have sent letters out to the outside agencies for the last 3 years. We haven't sent letters to our employees saying don't expect a cost of living for the last 3 years.
I understand.
You can't balance the budget on the employees' backs.
Mike,
sorry.
I just can't. The other two things that you're talking about, absolutely look at them. And they're going to be some hard ones, and we're going to make some people mad. This is a tough year. But I will never, ever vote not to take care of the employees.
And I understand, and I don't want to cut anybody's wage increase,
Right.
but I can tell you this: in corporate America, when the roof is falling in, you don't give a pay increase. You don't go on a family vacation when Dad loses his job.
In
So I just
corporate
think-
America, they keep up with the maintenance of their buildings.
Well,
Corporate America-
sometimes they do.
You compare the salaries and benefits at corporate America. We're not even in that same talking. We're not even close.
I understand,
I can name
but
two or
a
three of my
wage-
sons are in that are nowhere near what
A
we're
wage
trying to go through.
increase is a luxury, so we need to understand that. And I'm not saying we're not going to do it. I just think we should put it on the table.
And-
I'm
and
not
Mike,
sure we can decide this one right now.
And Mike, I would
What we're
agree.
gonna do.
And Mike, I would agree with you that a wage increase is a luxury if all the salaries that county employees had was even close to where it should be. But budget cuts, the past
I'm
commissions.
just saying we're
wait,
getting
hold
ready
on, hold on. Past
been here.
commissions over the last 20 or 30 years have done exactly what you're saying. They have balanced the budget, trying to make people's property tax lower on the backs of county employees.
And you know, Jeff, it's not
and we
that-
were getting
we're-
caught up,
we're-
and now we're starting to get caught up, and we're not going backwards.
Well, the other thing is, too, being the mayor of Lansing and the city administrator, I saw council members out there do this, and we lost some really good people. And when you lose good people like
That's
that,
service to the
that
people.
service is gone. That knowledge and everything's gone. I understand what you're saying, Mike. Believe me. But I've always been about this, and I always will be, because I got to work on both sides of this just before I elected. I'm going to take care of the employees.
So a good
And-
example of this is a gentleman was just in here earlier complaining about the weeds not being cut. And past commissioners have cut the budget. What did they cut first? Lowest hanging fruit is weeds getting cut. So it's a circle. They complain about their services getting cut, but then they complain about their high taxes. And they don't want to own up to the fact that they are directly related.
Okay,
We're still keeping up on snow removal.
and if I could just respond, I am not saying that I'm in favor of
I know.
of reducing
We
the
understand.
wages.
I
I am saying that when we're talking about a major tax increase, that we should let the public know what each of these items costs and let the public weigh in on this. And we have, over the time I've been on the commission, we have been giving wage increases all along. Every year we've given.
To try to get caught back up to just average salaries.
And we
I'm
still
just
have
saying,
a large
when
turnover.
you have a major expense like this, that you have to put everything on the table, at least to be considered.
I agree with you. But
And you got to hire competitive. I mean, you got to hire people that know what they're doing, or we're gonna have this place full. It's a balancing act, Mike, and I understand what you're
It
saying.
is
And I appreciate that.
balancing.
And
That's
I
right.
guess we'll have that discussion later.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you know
let's
where I
get
stand.
back to the election now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add one thing on that, if I could. The budget process is a long process. For staff, it actually starts probably in February.
Mm-hmm.
And when our fiscal year starts, we're actually starting to work on the next year's budget. And for the commission, it starts in April, and sometimes earlier.
No,
We
it
start
starts
talking about-
earlier.
I think we actually started in March talking about the CIP.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a long process. And leading in through that process, if you recall, we asked the departments to submit budgets that were as tight as they could, which they all did. Every one of them did. And we brought in a budget that had a flat mill levy. And then we talked about the items that were not in that budget, which are the courthouse and road and bridges, the repairs to the courthouse. So the budget without those two items would be flat. It would be flat mill levy. So I just want to point that out, that the enhancement to the budget, the mill levy, the enhancement to the mill levy increase is to address the courthouse and the roads.
And 911.
Well, 911 is wrapped in the budget because that's not.
Well, I
one
know,
we can
but that's a
ignore.
huge amount of money that we had to get into
Yeah.
the budget.
Absolutely, yeah.
If we didn't have that, there wouldn't be near the problem.
911 was it's a minimum of 250. I think it's probably closer to 300 this year and 350 next year, which is
That was
what I-
unbudgeted.
That's what I've plugged into the budget that wasn't there before, and that's because the 911 fees are not coming in that they were, and that goes back to what I always talk to the commission about is the property tax is not our only income. When those other income streams start to dry up, which they have been, the only way, because of the way the state gives us the tools the state gives us for our budget, the only way to make up when those other revenue streams dry up is to increase property taxes. And oh, by the way, a lot of that revenue stream is a direct result of the state taking away the money.
So $4 million from the LAVTR would have bailed us out of this situation. This year.
completely. Yep.
Completely.
Completely.
And lowered the mill levy.
Yep.
So
Easily.
thank your legislatures. Every chance you get a chance to do that. So let's, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of County Canvassers.
Second.
Motion and second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 We are now Board of County Canvassers.
I ran the provisionals through, so we have now 10,526 votes. I looked at each one of the races to see if there was any difference. I even looked as far as precinct committee people. There were no changes due to the provisionals that were counted. So I would like the commission then to certify the election, the primary election, from 8/6/24.
Do we need to put the number of votes in that motion or not? No? Okay.
Certify the election.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept and certify the election of the votes of August 6, 2024 in the primary election.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Thanks, Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Get all signed.
Anywhere? Yep.
Janet, is this your last primary?
This is her last Friday.
I don't know.
Thank you,
You might be
Janet, for
hanging
all of your
around.
service.
Mine too.
Not that it mattered.
Mine too. You were amazing.
It's been a year since I had my episode, so yesterday I had to go back and have a bunch of scans. All A-OK.
Yeah.
It was raining that day too.
We'll see, I don't remember that.
I do. I was going to come over and bring an umbrella over and
Yeah, I
took off
remember
running.
that too.
All right, thank you. 81. You got it.
So it's going to be more of a heartbreaker.
Thank you, Janet.
Thanks, Janet.
All right, thank you, Janet.
Just for me to say, we will take and run a precinct by precinct final, and it'll be posted on the webpage in case anyone is interested in receiving that or seeing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn as the Board of County Canvassers and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 We are now back as county commissioners. Any further presentations and
I've
discussion
got just a
items?
couple of things, Jeff.
Go ahead.
This afternoon, Lansing's Government Channel, I'll be addressing some of the questions we just had here today and speaking, representing the county on some of the issues that we've had put in front of us. I hope I do a good job explaining this as well as some of y'all have. The other thing is, too, do we have a selfie or something tomorrow coming in?
Tomorrow at 9:30.
9:30. And where are we meeting, Mark?
We'll meet out front and hopefully find a picture that doesn't include orange fencing or barricades.
That'll be
We
hard.
might take a picture that way instead of.
Okay, so
Maybe we should do it at the Justice Center.
we have to get everybody over there. I'm good.
You got a bunch of hard hats? I got a bunch we could bring.
That's a good best.
I got a couple
Everybody
of
wear
them,
hard
too.
hats.
Everybody wear
I'm
hard
gonna
hats.
stand on a porch.
Yeah, I got a couple of them.
Get a sledgehammer instead of a shovel to groundbreaking. Let's do the breaking of the ledge off so we can open the thing back up.
Breaking of the.
Just don't catch it falling.
I don't have anything for this week. You have anything?
All I had was Baser opened their splash pad last Thursday night. I didn't get to stay for the whole ribbon cutting thing because I had another meeting, but I did attend, and there was a bit large turnout, and
It looked like it. Yeah.
it was a good deal. So that's all I had.
Mike, you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Vicky, go quick.
Let's
Go
see,
quick,
I
Vicky.
had a KCATA Governance Board meeting on Monday, and then yesterday the Mental Health Advisory Board meeting. That you guys need to pick somebody else to sit on
Oh
Yeah, we're going to miss you on that one.
When do we need to do that?
pretty quickly, and then you need to do the kneecap because they need somebody to be on board by December.
Probably get that on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
On that note, I have a question. Did we ever fill the position on the library?
No, we did not.
And do we have a deadline on that, or can that be filled?
It's
in?
open. They wanted it as soon as possible, but I don't.
Yeah, I said it was open, mine.
And that's the one for kneecap. They need the decision soon.
Yeah.
So that is open.
It's a
Somebody
very
wants it.
limited area of the county because
And workforce partnership.
Yeah. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Bye.
We are adjourned.